been some buzz around the question of why we're not letting cis men use the Cahoots workshop. And I really value any question that comes from a desire to understand and a desire to learn, and so I thought I'd address that. Let's get into it. As a quick caveat, I'm not speaking for all women, I'm not speaking for all gender minorities, and I'm not speaking for all men. I can't do any of that. What I can do is speak in general, factual terms. Over centuries in the West, women and gender minorities have been marginalized, discriminated against, and segregated. That's something that we're still dealing with as a culture. We're still grappling with the effects of that. That's systematic bias. Over those many generations, we've internalized that we are less capable than men, that we're less able than men, that we're just less than men, because that was the dominant narrative. This systematic bias has led to many things, but one of them is a really low number of women in practical spaces in Aotearoa. Trade spaces, DIY spaces, maker spaces, things like that. We don't have numbers here for non-professional spaces, but only 3% of trade roles are filled by women. And we have a huge 124 men's sheds around the Motu. They've been here since 1908. And now some of them accept women, but many don't. Into this space comes the Cahoots workshop. And we're really no different from any other community workshop or makerspace, except that we are exclusively for women and gender minorities. So to address the question, why? Because we want to empower and uplift our community. We want to feel capable, strong, and internalize that we can manipulate the physical world around us. Because of the dominance of men in these spaces, because of the effect upon us, because we don't feel safe and comfortable in hardware stores and trade supply stores and job sites, because these are all largely men's spaces, because of all of that, the presence of cis men in our workshop is counter to the work that we're doing. We know from running classes for women and gender minorities that bringing a cis man into that space triggers all of that cultural baggage. We shut down, we make ourselves small, we remember that we're less capable, that we're less able, that we're just not quite as good. And it absolutely doesn't matter how well-meaning that person is. If you're a cis man watching this and you're thinking, yeah, but I want to help, but I want to help tear that down, I'm not part of that problem. And it's true that you might not explicitly be the problem. You're part of a group that represents exclusion, that represents the history of marginalization. You're part of a privileged chunk, and that as a whole is the problem. And maybe that makes you really uncomfortable because you don't want to be a problem and you don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. And that's a really good thing because we want you and we need you to help us change the system. We need you working on that side out there, but you have to listen to us. You have to listen to our experiences of the world. And if you listen to what we're telling you about our experiences of the world, if you listen to what we're telling you about how we respond, how our space is changed by the presence of a cis man, and you deny it, you deny our experience, you tell us it's not right, then maybe you are the problem. And so I hope that I've been able to explain just why this boundary is important. And I acknowledge that there are going to be people around that boundary who are disadvantaged by the boundary, but it is necessary for us to serve our communities. And on that, I want to shout out to the strong and supportive community that we have. All of the people who get it, all of the people who want to be in this space, all of the people who are waiting on our mailing list to find out when the doors open because they say, oh, I see that space, I need it, that's how I feel. And at the end of the day, we hope that you all get it out there because we can work together on this. We can all be on the same page. But in an imperfect world, we can't all be in the same space right now.